2020, on January 1st, the FTC is going to start enforcing COPPA law on YouTubers to the tune of $42,000 fines per video if a YouTuber is found to be uploading content that is deemed by them to be kid-friendly. Even if children are a secondary audience to some of this content, the FTC could find these videos to be in violation of COPPA law. Today's video is sponsored by Native Sons Goods, makers of the highest quality woven guitar, bag, and camera straps you'll ever see. Native Sons straps are handmade one at a time in the USA with unparalleled love and care. Click the link in the description to check out their new expanded lineup featuring all new 3-inch guitar straps. And remember, when you support my sponsor, you support this channel, and I sure appreciate it. Hey, what's up, bros and hoes? Brad the Guitarist here. Time again for Shitpost Friday. COPPA was a law that was introduced in the late 1990s, I guess during the Tipper Gore era or shortly thereafter. A bunch of parents got real crazy and begged government for another law so that they didn't have to do the parenting themselves, so that the parenting would be done for them by Big Brother. Which I don't understand why anyone would want to give up their parental rights or control in this way, but there you have it. People have been doing it for a long time. But I guess, the Tipper Gores won out. Joe Camel was taken off of Camel cigarettes. And shortly thereafter, we got COPPA legislation for regulating the internet. It does some good things probably, but in part it prevents companies like YouTube from targeting ads toward children, which I'm not sure I really understand that either, because if you remember early morning cartoons, they used to run ads on cartoons on Saturday morning, and they were all targeted toward children. So I'm not sure I understand why you wouldn't be able to do that online. I guess they don't want you gathering information on the people that you are targeting these ads to, which in some cases mean children. But the thing is, if you sign up for YouTube, a YouTube account, you have to ensure that you're not below the age of 13, which is the legal age for being a child anyway. So technically speaking, YouTube hasn't been doing anything wrong, yet they got fined like $170 million, and they basically just rolled over to the FTC rather than try to fight it. And my guess is the FTC is doing the bidding of Disney, who have just come out with their Disney Plus streaming service online, and they don't want any competition, and the FTC is in their pocket. They pretty much own about half of the media in this country. Apparently they own about half of the politicians. After the first of the year, you're going to see a lot of stuff probably be scaled way back or altogether disappear. If you're like me, you watch a lot of different channels on this platform. I watch stuff ranging from guitar channels where, guys will feature guitars like the Hello Kitty guitar, or they'll feature guitars like the Daisy Rock guitars perhaps and do gear demos. Sometimes people are teaching, things geared toward children and them learning how to play instruments. There's a lot of content on guitar channels that could be deemed as kid-friendly, that they mold their language and the way that they talk toward kids. And you could argue, well, do these guys actually have a large audience under the age of 13? Some of them may. Pretty much like the Jake Pauls of the guitar world. I don't want these channels to be threatened either. Even though they're a major source of competition for channels like mine who do hard-hitting news and actual real things, I don't want to see any of these people threatened by anybody, especially government. But you'll see from time to time a lot of videos too that will do, guitar cover versions of cartoon theme songs, stuff like that. Are those videos geared toward children? Well, you don't know until the FTC comes knocking on your door and trying to take your video down and fining you $42,000 per video. So essentially what they have done, they've put this big red flag incentive on every YouTube creator not to create kid-friendly content. And it wouldn't surprise me a bit to discover that these FTC officials were in the pocket of Disney.
And if the FTC is bringing independent piecemeal actions against content creators for violating COPPA, that may discourage content creators from posting content on YouTube. So the analogy that I think of, imperfect, is the expression about shooting fish in a barrel. And YouTube is the barrel, and the content creators are the fish. And so it's a place where this content is centralized, and essentially it's easy for us to find.
But usually when you get big changes like this, it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. There's a reason that all of this stuff has coincided with the release of Disney Plus, I believe. And you're not going to dissuade me from this. If you just type in COPPA, C-O-P-P-A, in a search in YouTube, you're going to see a ton of videos, mostly from kid-friendly creators, people who aren't even necessarily creating for kids. They might have vintage toy restoration videos. On my channel, even in some of my past videos, I've restored toys and vintage toys with my daughter. I've used this as a way to involve her in what I do, you know, to say, hey, Izzy, let's go do something. Let's go film something, you know, and let's spend some time together. One of the most recent videos that I made involved her and I making a musical instrument for her class. You know, she's 9 years old. Does that mean that video could be fined $42,000 by the fucking Federal Trade Commission? Is that what that really means? Am I going to have to start dropping fucking F-bombs at the beginning of every fucking video on this channel so that it's obvious that I'm not kid-friendly? You know, I don't want to do that. You know, if I want to cuss, I'll cuss. If I don't want to cuss, I won't. You know, a lot of my stuff is kid-friendly. It's absolutely family-friendly. You could probably sit down and watch it with your kids and be reasonably assured I'm not going to start dropping F-bombs in the middle of it, you know? But stuff like the Shitpost Friday, the name of it is Shitpost Friday. It is absolutely not kid-friendly. It's not. I'm not gearing this toward kids, obviously. Some of my repair videos, you know, I have actually received comments from people who said, hey, I watched this with my son or my daughter or whatever, and, you know, hey, even some of them asking me, hey, could you cut out some of the cussing in it? And, you know, I do sometimes make a conscious effort not to do that on the repair videos, because I do know that I want to inspire kids, too, to be able to do that kind of stuff. I don't want to shut them out, but now it looks like I might have to intentionally try to shut them out. And do I want to start molding my content? It's one thing to, like, you know, if you're doing a sponsorship, for instance, and you put an ad at the beginning of the thing, and they're giving, you know, you're receiving something in return, and it's a contractual thing. It's like, okay, you know, I scratch your back, you scratch mine, and we have a relationship then. This is force. This is force from the top down telling me what my content has to be. So this is the federal government reaching into my content and the content of thousands of other creators who, once again, aren't necessarily kid-directed. Now, they might be kid-friendly because some kids might be hovering over their parents' shoulders watching the stuff and being interested, but a lot of these people who are doing restorations, I watch this guy Marty's Matchbox Makeovers, for instance. He does makeovers of Matchbox cars, you know, that are all beaten up from being played and buried in the dirt or whatever, and he'll make over these cars and repaint them and do very detailed restoration work on them, and it's relaxing stuff for me to watch. You know, I owned a lot of those cars when I was a kid, and it's, you know, there's a lot of nostalgia involved for me as a 42-year-old male, so I watch those videos and I enjoy them, even though the central theme is toys. I'm watching them as a 42-year-old man. You know, some of the stuff, there's other restoration videos that you can watch from Tonka trucks. You know, there's stuff that restores old G.I. Joes and, like, takes those apart and restores those, old Transformers or old, you know, whatever. Or even videos by people who are just collecting the stuff and showing them off and trading them and all this stuff. There is a very large network of adult traders in vintage toys and even recent toys. And they'll buy the recent stuff and trade in it and say, oh, isn't it? And they'll review the stuff. It's not necessarily kid-directed, or it's kid-friendly, of course, because it's toys, but it's not necessarily kid-directed. There are lots of people who watch that kind of stuff, and I bet if they showed you their demographics on their videos, and it shows the age ranges of all the people who watch, none of it will be under 13, because you can't sign up for this platform if you're under 13. So there right away is the gate. So, no, YouTube has not been violating the law, and this is what kind of bothers me about a lot of the COPPA directed videos you're going to see if you do Google them. or if you do search them on this platform, a lot of them have capitulated and said, oh, and just like YouTube itself, that YouTube has been guilty all this time of collecting information on kids. Well, they really haven't, because you're not supposed to be able to sign up for this website if you're a kid. That's why they created YouTube Kids. So that, and they actually have blocks, so parents have to approve it up front. You have to be a parent, and you have to confirm your age and everything, that you're over age to be able to make that decision for your kid, you know, that they can watch this content. And like I said, they're coming after YouTube for one reason, because it is competition. My daughters are 9 and 3. My 3-year-old, she watches YouTube Kids all the time, and she loves the hell out of it. There are video channels on there that all they do is they just play with toys. And they like take a whole bunch of different toys from different companies even, you know, different characters. Like Spider-Man will be playing with Elsa, or, you know, whatever. They'll have all the green screening and stuff, you know, that they do to make everything all kind of neat. And she loves it. She loves watching that crap. You know, I can't stand half of it, but she loves it. I can imagine there are probably millions and millions of kids like her who also love that stuff. And, you know, that's competition for somebody like Disney. If you're trying to compete with other people, it's one thing to compete with them, and to compete with them head on, and to try to win, and to do it that way. It's a whole nother thing to go crawling to daddy government and asking them to attack your enemies for you, which is what I believe is happening here. I believe this little faggot right here is in the pocket of Disney. Shooting fish in a barrel, he says. It's going to be like shooting fish in a barrel. I have a playlist that's actually labeled something like, you know, toys and toy restorations or something like that. I'm not going to take it down. I'm not going to label it for kids either, because it's not. It's not directed at kids. Kids weren't supposed to be on this fucking platform when I made it. So none of my past videos were directed at kids ever, because they weren't even supposed to be on this platform. You know, I'm directing it at people who are interested in seeing that sort of thing, and a lot of them happen to be adults. So honestly, I don't give a damn. I don't give a fuck what the FTC says. I honestly don't care. If they want to try to make an example out of me, then they're going to have a hard road to hoe, I believe. I will go on to GoFundMe, and I'll ask for help funding some kind of fight against them or whatever. If they want to try to make a martyr out of me, then let them. You know, there's a lot of people with channels big enough, they could be trying to direct their audiences to go call their congressmen and senators to get the law changed, which is what we need to all be doing, is urging people to go call your senators and your congressmen. Don't go comment to the FTC. The FTC doesn't give a fuck about you, and they don't give a fuck about comments. They're not going to listen to it. If they cared about comments from people like us, they would have sought them out before they started doing this shit. They don't care about us. These are bureaucrats, and they don't give a damn. They're going to do what they want, and unless they're directed by Congress to do something different, they're not gonna. Or the president. This would be a good time, Donald Trump, for you to fucking step up and do something. Don't be a pussy. So yeah, to all you large toy YouTube channels, to all you other channels who are making videos about this, about COPPA, stop directing your audiences to go comment on the FTC's website. That's not going to do a damn bit of good. And it's funny too watching it, because all you seem so green and so naive. None of you understand the way any of this stuff works. You look like deer in headlights, to be honest. You're like, oh, what's coming at me? And what's coming at you is the big fat Disney train. That's what's coming at you. The big fat corporate Disney train with all of its money flying out of its pockets, because it's got more than it can stuff in. That's what's coming at you. And they're going to run you over. If you keep directing your audience to go comment to the FTC rather than try to get your senators and congressmen to change the law, of course, they seem preoccupied with something. I can't imagine why they would be preoccupied with something right now. Epstein didn't kill himself. Apparently they are. They're really preoccupied with things that have nothing to do with stuff that really affects people. I think the thing that bothers me most about this whole situation, and I urge you guys to go really watch a bunch of videos on this and try to get educated as to what's actually happening. But what really bothers me about it is the way that YouTube seems to have handled it. They didn't really do a very good job, or any job at all, of notifying all of us creators and the YouTube community at large what was going on. They didn't try to mobilize us to help get behind them as they geared up to fight the FTC, or to try to, you know, to battle this in any way or to try to get the law changed. I mean, you can change laws, guys. You don't have to settle for the status quo. That's why we live in supposedly a constitutional republic. Everybody likes to call it a democracy, but it's not a fucking democracy. Thank Christ it's not a democracy, but it's headed that way. You got all these unelected bureaucrats who are writing laws and writing, again, you know, this is a one-stop shop for companies like Disney where they can go. They could talk to these officials at the FTC. They don't have to go to the elected representatives of the American people. They can go directly to these unelected bureaucrats who tend to stay on even after new people come in who are elected representatives. So they're kind of the forever government. You know, it's a one-stop shop for people, for corporatists, where they can go and line some pockets and get some shit done. That's exactly what's going on here. It's exactly what's going on. And YouTube rolled over. I don't understand it. The only explanation for why YouTube would roll over in that way is they made some kind of deal with somebody else. And not only that, they not only rolled over to the FTC, but they sold out creators. They said, okay, yeah, we're just going to let you, this is the agreement we're making in order to settle for this amount and to wipe the slate clean so we're not liable in the future. We're just going to allow you access to all of our creators. You know, we're even going to help you with bots on here that you have access to. So now the FTC has access to bots that YouTube has made especially for them that will allow them to see what's going on YouTube and to sell creators out to the federal fucking government. And it's not as if they haven't already been doing this, you know, with other intelligence agencies, I'm sure, like the CIA or FBI, you know, for other things. Maybe some with good reason, some maybe not so good reason. But this alarms me that they would just roll over. So yes, all the people saying, oh, it's not YouTube's fault. It is YouTube's fault. And a lot of the people saying, oh, it's not the FTC's fault. They're just enforcing the law. It is their fault. The people on this platform represent competition to the corporate media, to the dinosaur media, to the Disneys of the world, to the ABC, NBC, CBSs of the world, the Comedy Centrals. We represent competition to all these fucking people, and YouTube is finally rolling over on us. They don't care about us. They're selling us down the river. That's the way I see it. And until somebody convinces me otherwise, that's the way I'm probably going to see it. And there, of course, there's going to be somebody down in the comments, oh, you should stay out of politics. You have no business being in politics. Dude, what the fuck is we the people? What does that even mean? You know, if you can't say anything about politics, or if you can't say anything about political issues that affect you, you know, and that affect you, you, the person watching this, it's affecting you. It's going to affect the kind of stuff that you're going to be able to see from the guitar channels that you like. They're not going to be able to do videos where they bring in their kids and say, okay, hey, let's make an instrument together. Or let me teach you how to make an instrument. Well, I don't want to watch that kind of stuff anyway. Well, you might not, but some other people might. You know, again, my content is not kid-directed. I think that much is pretty obvious to anybody who watches a lot of my videos. But if you got on my channel and you went to some of my playlists, you may not know that. You may go to some electronics repair videos where I'm being really kid-friendly. You know, I'm being like, okay, guys, and I'm getting down on a level where even a kid could understand. Even one under the age of 13 might be able to understand and follow some of my repair videos. And I might even be able to teach them how to repair stuff, you know, which we should be doing anyway. I've got a whole bunch of videos where I'm going out and finding old ride-on toys with my daughter and fixing those up, cleaning those up. And I show her at the end, like, riding them around and stuff. And it's like, oh, look what we got out of the trash. You know, it's kind of cool that we got this ride-on toy out of the trash and we just, you know, fix it up. And now she can ride it instead of it going to the landfill. You know what I mean? So that's a theme as well. It's like repurposing things so that stuff doesn't go to the landfill. You're trying to do something for the environment, and then the government steps in the way of that, or they're threatening to step in the way of that. Just because of why, you know. It seems to me that this is just a very bad law, very bad, ill-considered law. And so what? I mean, honestly, at the core of it, it's like, oh, it's for a good reason. Nah, not necessarily for a good reason. You know, I could see a lot of reasons why you would want directed ads at kids. That would be better to have directed ads than non-directed ads, because if the ads are directed, that means that they've been filtered. You know, it's like, okay, this ad itself is kid-friendly. The ad itself is directed at kids. So you're not going to get an ad for like Squatch Man soap where the guy's like, you know, rubbing on the dude's chest or something like that. You know what I mean? Stuff that even some ads might be inappropriate, according to some parents. So it gives you, as a parent, it actually gives you more power to direct what your kid sees if there's directed ads, because you're able to put them on a platform like YouTube Kids and be reasonably assured that they're not going to be seeing like dick pics or something. You know what I mean? First of all, and because it might be supported by a different ad system, you know, it will succeed and thrive, and you'll get good content. A lot of probably educational content as well. You know, early childhood education and stuff. There's a lot of good stuff on there on YouTube Kids about that. But you know, we're not even just talking about YouTube Kids. I'm talking about a lot of channels that might be going away. And I feel for there's a lot of like Lego channels. I mean, adults love Lego. Adults love the hell out of some Lego. My wife loves Lego more than my kids, and she buys it so that she can do it. You know what I mean? So, you know, you have all these channels that have dedicated themselves for years and years and built these massive audiences doing Lego stuff. And now they're not going to be able to do it because the FTC, according to their guidelines, is the way that these are read, just about any kind of content that a kid could look over their parent's shoulder and enjoy along with them could be deemed kid-friendly or even kid-directed. Okay? So that could be all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, to you guitar channels, okay, who are taking this, they're just brushing this off and saying it doesn't apply to me, it applies to toy channels. Not necessarily, and not so fast. This is a very big fucking deal, and you need to fucking read into it and get educated on it. You know, you've got all these channels too, like, hey guys, today we're gonna look at the latest and the blah blah blah, the biggest and the baddest of BC Rich's new line of blah blah blah. You know, if you're talking like that and you're like, hey, cool, far out, wait, you know, if you're using that kind of language, even they can come after you according to them. You need to read this shit, guys. Read it. This could apply to you. That's why I'm talking about it. I'm not just blowing smoke out my ass and up yours. I'm not doing that. If I wasn't afraid about this, I wouldn't be talking about it. It's a big deal. I'm not going to change anything on my channel. I'm going to mark all of my videos as not being for kids, and I'm going to continue doing what I've always done. And if that means from time to time bringing my daughter in to do something because I want to involve her in what I do, that's between me and my daughter and has no fucking bearing on anything the FTC wants. They don't factor in, as far as I'm concerned. They don't run my fucking life. Okay? You don't run my life, FTC, and you don't run my daughter's either. So there's that. Okay, so that'll do it for the news. Alright, that'll do it for this Shitpost Friday. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, hit subscribe down below. And for now, we'll see y'all later.